welcome back to Table for One, a show for people who just came home from work hungry and realize that the fanciest thing they have in their fridge is a pack of hot dogs. I'm not kidding. Here are the hot dogs. You could just cook these according to the package instructions, i.e. boil them, and that would be a perfectly serviceable single guy on a weekend meal. But there are actually plenty of fun things you can make out of hot dogs, some of which we're going to cover in the future videos. For today, I'm going to show you a very easy version of my favorite use for them: pigs in a blanket. Now I know this show is supposed to be very minimalist, but I honestly cannot overstate the value of a good kitchen scale. They're cheap and make all your recipes super consistent. But just in case you, most likely, don't have one, I will give all the measurements in volume as well as weight. So let's begin. We're going to need 260 grams or 1 3/4 of a cup of all-purpose flour, 150 milliliters or 2/3 of a cup of milk, 5 grams or half a tablespoon of yeast, 2 eggs. The second egg is just for the egg wash, which I don't recommend skipping, but just in case you only have 1 egg left in your fridge and you don't feel like going to the store, I'm gonna go ahead and say that it's optional. 4 grams or 1 teaspoon of salt, and 8 grams or half a tablespoon of sugar. 35 grams or 3 tablespoons of vegetable oil. Heat your milk in a microwave or in a pot until it's warm. Do not make it too hot, otherwise you're going to kill the yeast. Add your yeast and sugar to it and mix well and set aside. Crack your egg in a bowl, break the yolk, which is the part of the egg that we actually need, curse under your breath and get another egg. Crack it carefully this time and separate the yolk from the white. There are tons of hacks online on the best way to do this, but to be honest, the easiest is to just crack it in a bowl and pick the yolk up with your hand and let the whites drip down between your fingers. Measure out your oil. In a medium-sized bowl, add your flour and salt and mix well to incorporate. Next, add your milk yeast mixture, oil, egg yolk. Mix together with a sturdy spoon until a shaggy bowl of dough forms. Turn the whole thing out on your work surface and knead for 10 minutes. While I'm kneading in the background, let's discuss wiener size. Now, mine are jumbo size, but I get that not everyone is as blessed with a large hot dog as I am. This recipe of dough will yield approximately 450 grams of dough, so if your sausage is this big, giggity, use 1/3 or 150 grams per sausage. Smaller sausages, around 15 to 18 centimeters, should use around 50 to 75 grams of dough, depending on how you like your sausage to bun ratio. And for small cocktail weenies, just use 25 grams per weenie. Now, surprisingly for me, the next step in this recipe turned out to be to go out and get takeout. Allow me to explain. Being the idiot that I am, I suddenly remembered, wait a minute, I live in Dubai, one of the hottest cities in the world. So if I put my bowl of dough outside of my windowsill like a pie in a Disney movie, the warm temperature will make it rise even faster. But when I opened my window 1 hour later, it was gone. I forgot that my neighborhood is absolutely infested with crows. Seriously, trying to carry a loaf of bread home instantly turns into a scene from the Birdemic. Long story short, they tried to carry my dough away, but instead dropped it, scaring the crap out of the security guard downstairs who stepped out for a smoke. So please enjoy this time-lapse of me remaking this entire batch of dough from scratch, because that's just how dedicated I am to putting hot dogs into buns. After kneading your dough for 10 minutes, or until it's smooth and springs back when poked, cover it with plastic wrap and set aside to rise for 1 hour, or until it has doubled in size, like so. Now punch it down to let out all the air and the frustration from having to remake this thing again, and divide it into 3 pieces. Use a kitchen scale if you have one, and if not, just eyeball it. Cover the dough with plastic wrap or a moist towel so it doesn't dry out. Take 1 piece and roll it out to the length of your sausage. Place your sausage inside, wrap the dough around it, pinch the seams shut and roll it around a bit to even it out. Place it on a baking sheet which has been optionally lined with parchment paper for easier cleanup, and repeat the process with the rest of your sausages. Once done, cover the whole tray and set it aside for one final proof. Ideally 20 minutes, but this has been a very long day at this point, so I just went with 10 while I did the dishes. Now crack your second egg in a bowl and beat it until smooth. Using a pastry brush, cover your pigs in an even layer. Don't have a pastry brush? Not a problem. Just use your hands. Same result and less dishes to do. The egg wash will give the buns a nice golden brown color as they cook and has the added benefit of acting like an adhesive for anything that you want to stick on top of them. Get really creative with it if you want. Bagel seasoning, flaky salt, cumin seeds, even grated cheese. Me, I'm just gonna go with some sesame seeds. Bake at 180 degrees for 15 to 20 minutes. If your oven is gas like mine and doesn't have temperature settings, then preheat on high and then set the flame to low. That will give you the best results. When done, place them on a wire rack or a wooden board to cool until handleable. Let's get a nice cross section just because that's something I've always wanted to do in a video. And there you go. Delicious, homemade, fluffy pigs in a blanket made with minimal ingredients. Serve as is or with some whole grain mustard, but that's just my preference. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this recipe, please subscribe, leave a like, and comment which dish you would like to see a simple single serving recipe of. Bye!